Good evening, guys. Welcome to the Sulk stream. I'm the Sulk, the Sulkster. The guy who sulks a lot and does sulky things and sulks a little bit more. Thanks for coming. Tonight we're going to be doing, I don't know, nostalgia. This is a chill video I wanted to watch. I thought it'd be fun to watch, and, you know, it's a little bit of a stroll down memory lane for me. But it goes into explaining about how Gen Z is kind of nostalgic for this era that they never got to be a part of, which is, you know, I didn't even get to be largely a part of it. I mean, yeah, the tail end of it. I remember as a little kid walking through malls, there would be a bunch of people and stuff like that. But yeah, it was interesting. And now we live in this weird kind of like, it's not cyberpunk, because cyberpunk would be cool. It's like a lame cyberpunk. Like this dystopia that's like, got a decent amount of technology, but it's not really good for anything. It's not making people's lives better. It's not like, you know, back in the 50s, they'd say, what is the average person going to do with so much time on their hands? But you just work 70, 80 hours a week, and you can't afford fucking, you know, a place to live or anything like that. So it's weird. It's a forgotten dream, right? This utopia that was in the past, that we've been striving for, like technological progress all this time. But a little while ago, things were pretty nice. You know, the 80s, the 90s, it was a good time. It was a good era. You don't even need that much technology. You need enough technology to, like, build houses and feed people. But beyond that, that's all you really need. We have plenty of tech to do all sorts of fun things like that. But we don't get to. A few people do. A few people have these very large budgets and, you know, super billionaires and this entire upper class of people. And maybe they have malls and stuff like that they don't tell us about, and they're a secret, and they're underground, or they're on the moon or something like that. But we're not a part of that. We're not a part of that. We just have to be nostalgic about this era, right? Look at that. Look at the fountain in the middle of the mall. I bet there's pennies in there, right? Kids would be grabbing the pennies out. Certain kids. But yeah. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna stroll down memory lane. And we're going to relax and chill. It's a rainy night here in Florida. And I don't have the energy to yell and scream and be the typical sulk and bum you guys out. So I'm just going to sit here, crack a joke or two. I don't really know. But let's just relax and calm down, you know? Maybe I'll do a game stream tomorrow to do my premium hours. But I don't feel like going that long tonight. That's hard on me, you know? You know, no, you don't, because you don't appreciate me, do you? No, you just want me to work and work and work and work and work for pennies. Dance, monkey, dance. Oh, I'll dance for you. I'll dance so good, you guys won't even know what to do with yourselves. It'll get hot in here, hot. Oh yeah, I'll dance for you. Anyways. We're going to do this, and we're going to relax, and maybe we'll watch The Breakfast Club or something like that. It'll be a nice, calm, kind of somewhat melancholic stream. That's unusual for me. Not happy-go-lucky John. John Sulk. Not that guy. No. He's always chipper, always having a good time. You know, he's that kind of guy. He's a good upbeat character. He never gets angry about this modern bullshit we live in, or like the societal problems that we have to fucking navigate on a day-to-day basis that our parents didn't have to deal with because they were just living the dream back in the fucking 90s, right? They fucking shit us out, and they're all like, go ahead and fight the robot dogs and the super mutants and stuff. Those are trans people, by the way. Super mutants. I'm relating a lot of stuff to Fallout these days. Could they be ghouls? No. Super mutants. At least the MTF ones. Maybe the TFM ones are ghouls. Yeah, that tracks. That tracks. Regardless, we live in this kind of post-apocalyptic wasteland, and we don't get to go bowling anymore. I remember bowling being a big part of the 90s. It was a big part of the 90s. So join me on this walk down memory lane. If you're working, keep working. If you're driving, continue to drive. Keep me on just pretend I'm on the radio, right? A crackly, AM radio and stuff like that. As you're cruising down the way, I'm here for you. And I'm here for you all night until I get tired and I go do something else. That's how I roll. That's how I roll. Anyways, I'm the Incredible Sulk. This is the Sulk Stream. And this is called Why Gen Z Misses a Time They Never Knew. Enjoy.
Why does this look familiar? Is this a real place? Did you dream this? Did we all dream this?
No.
In the last few years, there has been an explosive interest in images like these. Why is this? What are these images? And why are they as comforting as they are unnerving? We haven't been there, but these places feel hauntingly familiar. It's a memory we have, but it is a memory that is not ours. Anemoia is the nostalgia for a time one has never known. It is a powerful and strange emotion.
Yeah.
For Gen Z,
I have anemoia for let's say an 18th century kind of slave. 17th century slave master. Better times.
Anemoia
all in my head.
often
I imagine myself on the plantation with one of those big ties and stuff like that, on my rocking chair with my mint julep, and I got my plantation, my giant manor and stuff like that, and all those people I bought. They just get to work. So it's a good time. We miss the best times. We was kings.
Fests is a deep yearning for the late 20th century. Despite not having consciously lived through it, many feel a
You
sense
love the
of
Sulk
loss
outro?
for that
I forgot who made that outro. Somebody made that outro. I forget who, and I feel bad about it now.
era. This sensation is beyond just aesthetics and cultural trends. It touches on something existential. Looking in the rearview mirror of history, the late
Couch Surfing says, "You don't appreciate me, make it a t-shirt." I could make it a t-shirt, and that would sell, right? To a bunch of emo kids with a. I know they don't do emo kids anymore. What's the thing now? What's the new emo kid? I don't know. Whatever that is. I'm old, I'm way past my prime. And so I don't know what the new emo kid, I think it's just a normal kid. I think it's just a normal kid these days is just fucking depressed. And I understand why. I get that. Shit sucks. And you kind of got born into you're a slave now. And there's really no shot of you getting out of it. Despite a excruciating violence. That's the only thing I could really see working, because that's always worked before. They've always said violence is not the answer, but it indeed is the answer almost every single time. Like every serious problem that humanity has faced, they faced it with violence. And it's worked so far. Apparently, the good guys have always won. According to that book that they force you to read, the good guys have always won. So violence it is this time, again. And then maybe everyone's going to go back to drinking and partying and knocking each other up again. Like the good old days. Maybe not.
And the 90s feel like a more optimistic time. The United States seemed to be at a cultural and economic high point. There was a collective sense that the future was bright and that humanity was progressing in a meaningful way.
Yeah, this should have been a thumbnail. I mean, art makes great thumbnails, but vibe. It is the vibe. Vibe. And what are those? What are these? Never seen those before in my life.
Fringe cliche to say life was better back in my day. I had a real childhood. But we're not even talking.
No, I did not have a real childhood. My childhood was kind of garbage. I didn't like my childhood. No, I much prefer being an adult, even though it's much more depressing everywhere all at once. I still prefer being an adult. Being a child sucks. You don't really, I mean, like, you're forced to go to a place every day where they, like, force you to do things and you don't get paid or anything like that. And they fucking, yeah, no, I didn't like being a child. Being an adult's nice. Everything else kind of sucks these days. So, yeah, that is what it is. It's not my fault. I didn't do anything.
About childhoods. We're talking about something that precedes that. The romanticization of the decade before one's birth is common across generations. It's when the world.
I was born in the 80s. I don't fantasize about the 70s. I'm sure the 70s sucked. You know? It seemed kind of lame. I mean, afros. I mean, I'm sure it was fine. The 60s might have been better. Honestly. The 50s would have been cool. The 50s, seems like you do whatever you want. You get drunk at work and stuff. You smack the receptionist's ass. No one's gonna say anything. It seems like a decade you really could get things done.
The world feels magical before reality sets in. As someone born in the late 90s, I can most accurately speak for Gen Z. Those who have actually lived through the decades of the 80s and 90s may very well say that those who have never lived through these decades will put this era on a pedestal. The idea of the 80s and 90s offers a kind of imagination.
No, the 90s was all right. I remember the 90s was, I mean, like, not for me personally, but, like, in general, people were it seemed a lot happier in the 90s. Once 2001 rolled around, the vibe changed. There was an entire vibe change when those, hold on. That's where I remember seeing these, right? I remember seeing these in piles of dust. There was also a third building that no one's allowed to talk about. I think it's that one right there. Or maybe it's this one. I don't know. You're not allowed to talk about it, though. You're not allowed to talk about that at all. Yeah, no, the 90s was I guess. You can get a 49-cent taco. You can get, N64. Dude, the N64 fucking slapped. The N64 and, like, Ocarina of Time, that was my jam. Okay, so I was pretty stoked about that. Yeah, but after 2001, it was just kind of, it was lame. It sucked. I mean, it started to suck. It didn't really suck until, like, I don't know, 7 years later when the economy crashed. And then like, damn, I've been through a lot of shit. Yeah. Damn. It's all sucked. It's all been pretty bad. The 90s was pretty chill, except for me, exclusively me. But other people, they seem like they're having a good time. Not me, though. Not me.
Before the algorithms started to shape our every thought. It's a vision of analog warmth, human connection, mall culture, and the final chapters of a linear reality. This is reflective of our obsession with images of liminal spaces.
Onius is eating sun dip right now, not giving a fuck. Moisturized in his lane, that whole bit.
Evoke this sense of suspended.
I'm proud of you, Onius. You can just keep doing what you do. You just keep doing that.
They're not just eerie or dreamlike. They reflect a world on the cusp of fading. Liminal spaces capture a tension between memory, possibility, and loss.
You ever been in like I don't know, a hotel late at night, looking down the hallway, or like a weird, like a parking lot that's like abandoned or something? You know what a liminal space is. This is a liminal space. We've all been in these spaces where there's just a vibe change, right? Everything is just different. And you're just there, and like, you're not supposed to be there necessarily. You're passing through or something like that, but you just find yourself in this place. Much like this. It's like, have you ever been in an empty movie theater? It's like that. like, wow, this is familiar, but not familiar. It's a place that I shouldn't stay, and there's no real reason for me to stay. But also, there's nobody here. Always nobody here. It's got to be a weird glitch in the Matrix, right? It's got to be a loading screen. This is the loading screen of life. Is these liminal places where you go in and there's a short loading period where they put you in a room. It's the liminal space loading period. And then you move to the next area where the action's happening. That's got to be it. That's got to be what's happening, right? It's just a loading screen. This is a human loading screen.
These are spaces like empty school hallways after
Shino
hours,
Street,
shopping malls
over on
in
YouTube.
decline,
What's up?
dimly lit office corridors, vacant arcades.
It's
and
not scary. It's not scary. It's not scary in these loading phases, in these loading screens. It's a weird. There is a little bit of tension, right? Because you don't know what's in the next area. You don't know what you're loading into necessarily. It's a breakup of your life. Right? It is a transitional step that you go through. And we've all been through them. We've all been through these weird places. And it's not like... they're very unique times and places and vibes to that. I can't explain it better than vibes. There is a vibe behind it. You walk in... and then you sit there and you chill and you're like, what the fuck? And then you walk out and things are different. Are you older? Did your hair color change or anything like that? You don't know. Maybe that did happen. Right? Maybe. You don't know. Maybe the entire planet just changed and then you got your memory wiped because it's a loading screen and now you're in a different place. There's a slight tension behind it. There is a slight tension behind it, but it's just a tension of not knowing what's on the other side. But there is also a sort of peace to it too, like an end phase, like a sense of accomplishment almost. Like that chapter of my life is done. That chapter of me being over there is done. Now I'm transitioning into a new chapter where I'm going outside into the parking lot where I get in my car and go back to my life or something like that. Totally different. You're a totally different person.
Hotels with endless carpeted hallways. They're not designed to be destinations. They're passages.
Onia says walking through an empty mall is a crazy experience. You have to do it before 9 though, because that's when the mall closes. See, I don't know these things. I don't know when malls close. I didn't know people. Here's the thing, I feel like around Orlando and stuff, malls have been coming back. Malls have been making a rebound. But there was a time, and it still might be there. Maybe it was just that one mall, but a lot of malls are just dead, dude. They're just dead. And I understand why, because no one wants to go to a fucking mall to buy something. Why not? You have a phone. Get it on Amazon. It's like way easier. You don't have to walk around a mall. That's stupid. That's dumb. Why are you doing that? It's dangerous too. There's some ghetto malls out there. And they're dying. So no one wants to go to the mall. I understand that. But there was a time when you had to go to the mall. And it was like... It was all, there was a bunch of people. It was the town square of its time. There was people everywhere and like vendors and stuff and everything's happening. And then there's kiosks and there's storefronts and stuff. Now you walk into a mall that's just an outline of a JCPenney and stuff. And you look in, it's just, wow, it's empty in there. It's empty in there. What's that? A Mackey's? What the fuck is a Mackey's? You don't know. It's where they used to like squirt perfumes and like colognes at you and shit. And you didn't ask them to. They just did it. Yeah. Yeah. Amazing places. Amazing places. After COVID, they just kind of evaporated. I mean, they were on the down trend then too, but especially now, there's no reason to go to malls. I mean, they shut them all down. So if you want to go and like take some pictures of stuff, of like relics of the past, go to a mall. I'm sure they're out there. I don't know why they don't repurpose them into like living situations. Like what? I know homeless people live there. Or do they? Are they just empty? I'm going to buy them all. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to buy them all. Do you guys think you could donate enough for me to buy them all? It can't be that much.
Places you pass through on the way to somewhere else. Yet when frozen in time, devoid of people, they feel strangely sacred. They become vessels for projection, a template for what once was and what could have been. What makes these spaces especially vivid for Gen Z is their layered familiarity. Many of these environments were not designed during their lifetime, but were still around during their formative years. A mall built in the late 80s, still operating in the early...
And when Gen Z was young, for all this stuff was old to them, right? So it seemed like these were relics of the past, even because back when I was a kid, this shit was new, right? And popping. Like, look at that. That's amazing. Not anymore. Not anymore. Everyone's got their Roblox and shit like that. I don't get that game. I don't get Roblox. How do kids like that game? It's dumb. It's dumb. It's a dumb game.
2000s carried the echoes of a different cultural energy. Even as children, Gen Z could sense they were experiencing the fading afterglow of something bigger, something already slipping away. The food courts, the fluorescent lighting, the sun-bleached promotional posters, all of it felt like it belonged to an older world, one with different dreams.
That was thunder. Yeah, it was better. It was just better. It was a world of life. You know, when people weren't afraid to go out and no one had heard of COVID and stuff like that. Even post 9/11. From 9/11, that 20-year span from 9/11 to COVID, I mean, there was a financial crash during that time, but people weren't afraid of each other. All that's lost. We've gone full totalitarian. It's just we're locked behind our desks, and I'm here too. Look, I'm behind my desk. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to the fucking mall. I'm not going to the mall. I don't wanna. I'm happy ordering my stuff to my house and stuff. You know, I'm good talking to you guys through this. I have my things. I don't want to go to a mall. I feel bad for my kids because they're not going to have like a general meeting place. Well, we have the beach. The beach works.
There is an inherited memory. These spaces evoke both personal...
Sparrow pizza is fire though. Have I had Sparrow? No, I don't think... I must have. I must have at some point.
Nostalgia and cultural nostalgia. We sense that generations before us once found meaning, purpose, and joy in these spaces. That collective memory seeps into our own
Joy? Do you guys remember Joy? Oh. Me neither. Me neither. No. I mean, like back in the... It depends on who you were and where you were and stuff like that. But they're as a culture, as a group, I feel like there was a lot more optimism going on. Remember when they would ask you, what do you want to be when you grow up? And that was like a real question to people. People be like, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a scientist. I want to be an astronaut. That was a real question they would ask kids. Obviously, that's a stupid question now because you're going to be what? You're going to be dead or you're going to be a slave. You have those options, right? Maybe you can get in the service industry. That's a slave. Maybe you can get in the product industry. Well, that's a corpse right there. Those are your options. You have no other what are you going to be, a billionaire? That's the third option. Is your dad a billionaire? Well, I'm sorry, then you're out of luck. That's just how it is, okay? We're sliding into a new feudal age, which is going to be a lot worse than any other feudal age, right? Because we have technology to keep people on a leash. You want to speak out against it? No problem. Visa and MasterCard will just stop processing your payments. And then that's it. That's it. What are you going to do? Start your own payment processor? Impossible. Impossible. What are you going to do? Walk around with big sacks of gold? Well, I don't know how you're going to do that. You don't have money. You are being forced to be homeless at this point. So That's getting pushed out of society. I don't know what you want to do. You're going to have to be a caveman. But even then, they're going to be like, well, you can't be a caveman here because that's illegal. So you're going to go to jail and we're going to execute you. Hey, you can be a corpse. There you go. You found a purpose.
Experience, and we feel
found a
haunted
purpose.
by the absence of life that should be there. The silence of a mall is not eerie just because
The
it's
idiots want to be YouTubers. I mean, I'm here. You calling me an idiot? Christian, you calling me an idiot? I'm here. I'm doing this. I've been doing this every day for years. Getting nowhere. Getting nowhere. And I'm fine with that. I'm okay with that. You know? I like airing my grievances. And to a small audience, that's fine. At least there's somebody watching. At least I'm not just speaking into the void, which I was doing for a long time. But you know, that's okay. I have somebody, and it's you, Christian, calling me an idiot.
quiet. It's eerie because we know
Oh,
it
she most says you're not an idiot. Oh, well, you haven't been watching very long.
used to be loud with
That's the
talking
problem.
and movement. There should be people in those places.
I don't know. Maybe
but
you
there
have.
is not.
I don't know.
Gen Z grew up during the slow decay of these spaces. They watched the old world glitch, pixelate, and disappear. First in malls, then in media, then in human connection itself. What's
I
left
still love 90s Pizza Huts. Wow. 90s Pizza Huts. I miss pizza places in general. Remember they used to have like arcades and pizza places? And, like the joysticks would get all greasy and stuff like that. And you like feed it quarters. Wow. That's a memory right there. That's a memory. Playing like Metal Slug and shit.
behind are these hollow corridors,
Yeah.
still standing, but
Oh, you watch Daywave. Okay. That's cool. Well, welcome here.
directionless. They feel like a metaphor for growing up in a time of transition, where the promises of the past no longer apply and the future is undefined.
Christian says I was screaming into the void myself earlier. I'm sorry. Were you eating your wife's box? Okay, that's...
Vaporwave aesthetic evokes a
I'm
paradox
sorry. I had to do it.
that resonated deeply with the new generation. It is both a critique
That's not exactly my style of humor, but I feel like I was teed up for it, and so I had to take a swing at it.
and a longing for the late 20th century consumer culture.
Yeah,
it
there
is
you
both a
go.
satire
That's
and
the
an
self-streamer
admiration
almost.
for this era. The pastel colors, glitchy visuals, and slowed down elevator music draw from a time when malls were vibrant templates of commerce, technology felt wondrous, and globalization was still a dream full of promise. Gen Z
I remember it. Everything was so like futuristic, especially when the 2000s rolled around. Everyone's like, "Oh, it's a new millennium, filled with promise and prosperity and stuff like that." And like our kids are going to be living on Mars and shit. And it's like, no, man, it's overrun with brown people, and like everyone's afraid to touch each other, and everyone's broke. Everyone's broke. No matter how hard you work, you're going to be broke. So the people have just decided to stop doing it. Yeah. People are just like, there's no reason to work my ass off for 80 hours a week and then not have enough to even pay my rent. So I'm just going to be a bum. And a lot of people, that's a perfectly respectable direction to go. Honestly, if you can't play the game, like, I'm not saying it's anybody's fault. I'm saying it's like just impossible for a lot of people. If you're born after the year 2000, I mean, the chips are stacked against you. I'm not saying you can't make money, but it's pretty. If you were born with nothing, there's a very strong chance that you will remain to have nothing. If you're born in the 60s and you're born with nothing, no problem. Money's falling out of the sky. You pick up gold nuggets on the street. And I know it's not actually like that, but it was close enough. Like you had so many opportunities to make so much money, and you're still poor at 60 something years old. That's your fault, dude. That's just your fault. Yeah. That's why a lot of people don't have any sympathy for boomers. I don't. I sure as hell don't.
We only experience these eras secondhand through old media, photos, and cultural remnants. Vaporwave represents a version of capitalism where optimism still existed, but Vaporwave literally distorts the past. The warped sounds, melting visuals, and artificial nostalgia create a surreal, almost haunted feeling. It's not a pure celebration of the past, but a recognition of its hollowness
Boomers
and
do suck,
eventual
yeah.
decay. The consumer utopias of yesterday.
No, they're all hardworking geniuses. Remember? This is how they rationalize it. Well, I'm just a hardworking genius, and that's just that. I deserve all of this, and my kids deserve nothing because they're lazy retards. Or maybe they'll be rich in the future like I was, right? But they don't understand that. They bought their house when they were like 20, and they're all like, yeah, but it wasn't as nice as a house that I have now. Yeah, but it was a house, and it wasn't in the ghetto and falling apart. And like, even if you wanted to buy one of those things, it's still $400,000. That your house was like $20,000. You paid like $50 a month, and then you're all like, I pulled myself up by my bootstraps. You know why they say pulled yourself up by your bootstraps? You know why they say that? Because it's literally impossible to do that. No one can do that. No one can pull themselves up by their bootstraps. That is physically impossible. So when people say pull yourself up by your bootstraps, are they fucking with you? Are they like, because that's not how bootstraps work. That's not how no, you need somebody to help you up. That's how it works. This is how society is kind of set up, right? Your parents are supposed to set up society in such a way to help the next generation be able to advance on society and help that next generation, you know, like we've been doing for thousands of years until we got the boomers, until they're all like, this is all ours and we can piss on it and shit on it all we want. And we're going to be rich, but the rest of them can go fuck themselves, right? And now they're like, pull yourselves up by your bootstraps. You didn't. You sure didn't. You stood on the shoulders of generations of people trying to build society, trying to stabilize society. And you're all like, you know what we should do? We should make the money backed by nothing and then just print a bunch and give it to ourselves and see what the next generation does. Oh, well, they're going to wallow in misery. Ha. Sucks to suck, I guess. That's their attitude. Just sucks to suck.
Are now abandoned spaces. Vaporwave, in its own way, is a liminal space. It exists in the in-between.
Art and Shara says, I'm pretty sure the saying is meant to say to put your boots on and work for what you want. That's not what it says. It says pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You cannot do that. That is not possible. It's not put your boots on and work, because then they would just say, why don't you just put your boots on and work? No. It is literally saying pull yourself up by your bootstraps. A physical impossibility. This is why no one understands that saying. That's what it means. It means to do the impossible. Pulling yourself up by your bootstraps is not possible. It's not. Because then otherwise they'd just say, why don't you put your boots on and go to fucking work? Because people can do that. It's not going to get you anywhere. I promise you. You're going to work real hard and then you're just going to like break your back and then be in a wheelchair by the time you're 50, but you're not going to have anything. You still won't have anything. You'll be able to eat during that time, which is pretty useful. So, corpse or slave, take your pick.
Between memory and imagination, between critique and desire, between past promises.
Background noise says, I've never had boots with straps. Sounds stripperish. I think maybe older boots had straps. I don't know. I don't remember having boot straps either. So, you're not even giving us bootstraps. So what? Am I going to fucking pull myself up by my toenails? That sounds painful. Thanks, boomers. You didn't even give me bootstraps. Maybe it's like those old-timey boots. You know, like pilgrims had those buckles on their hats. They had them on their boots, too. Maybe those are bootstraps. Is that what they're talking about? Regardless, it's physically impossible. You can't do that. That's the crux of what I'm getting at. You cannot pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You need somebody to help you up, right? Typically in society, this would be the previous generation. We did not get that hand. That's just how it is. That's it. And they're going to be like, well, you have iPhones and shit like that. Okay, well, this iPhone's not paying my fucking rent, you know? And literally, it takes like $2 to make, and they cost like $1,000, you know? And you have to have one. You have to have an iPhone or like an Android or something if you want to be like weird, right? You're like, oh, that's too mainstream. I'm going to get an Android. Okay, fine, whatever. Weird. You want to be like super techie about it? Go ahead. The iPhone's fine. It works for me. I don't need it to do anything. I'm not like fucking hacking into the mainframe. Okay? I'm not going to put Linux on my computer. All right? Just so it asks me a bunch of questions. No, Windows is fine. That's fine. Okay, fine. There's a bunch of spyware. There's spyware everywhere. We literally have cameras watching us all the time. Every single day. We have several on our iPhone, which we're forced to buy. So, I mean, I'm literally doing this in front of you guys. This is going out on the internet. This isn't a private conversation that we're having. This is going out on multiple places. This is on X. This is on YouTube. This is on Rumble. I think that's it. But I'm just saying, there's cameras everywhere. I'm not putting Linux on my fucking computer. I don't want to sit there and be autistic and fucking be like, no, I want this setting to be like this and that over here, and be like, oh, great. I spent 15 hours setting up Linux so it's a lot like Windows. But if anything goes down, I'm going to have to spend another 10 hours just figuring out what happened. Nah, I'm okay.
And present realities. Like all liminal space.
Hog Dog says, pull yourself up by your foreskin. Well, they took that from me too. They took that from, without asking. They were all like, you don't need this. Ha ha. I was like, I was going to use that. I was planning on using that. I'm a little mad about that. I'm still pretty angry about that. I don't have a foreskin. It's gone. They decided to take a part of my penis. Why? Oh, well, because it was just the thing you did. You didn't think about it? You didn't think like, hey, you think you might want that part of his penis? You didn't think about that? Because, yeah, if you gave me a call, I'd be like, no, dude, let me keep that. I'm going to need it. I use that shit, you know? My sons have their foreskins. Yeah, they do. And they're gonna be like, thanks, Dad. I know. They will, because there's a bunch of other kids these days that are born, they don't keep their foreskins. My sons are keeping their foreskins. I mean, they can do what they want with them later on. If they want to get rid of them, I'm going to be like, that's weird, but you do you. But, like, I didn't even have that option. They're like, let me have your foreskin and now pull yourself up by your bootstraps. I'm like, wow, this is a raw fucking deal. I just got here. I just fucking got here. I'm like a cute little baby and you're taking stuff from me and telling me to fucking do the impossible. To do the literal impossible. That's pretty fucking lame. Background noise has a fucking pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. So I'll give you the bell. Thanks. Okay, let's see what background noise gave us. That's a link. All right, hold on. Okay, here we go.
Up my body straight.
Honestly, that was a valiant effort. Now I'll give that to him. You can pull that off, but it ain't easy. That shit ain't easy. But like, okay, that's a way of doing it. That's not okay. If the saying was pull yourself up with this bucket and rope, I'd be like, wow, that's a challenge, but I think I could pull it off. Not like levitate with your fucking hands on your boots, because that's what that is. I'm putting my hands on my boots and then I'm just willing myself into the air. That's what it is. That's what it is. It's not even a rope on a pulley with a bucket. I could work with that. I could work with that. Even if it was just a rope tied to the ceiling. I'd be like, wow, that's going to be tough. But, I got gumption. I'll pull it off. Meanwhile, they had like an escalator and they just hopped on. They're all like, well, you guys need to pull yourself by, and we don't even get a fucking rope in a bucket. They got an escalator. They didn't even have to climb a ladder. Maybe Gen X did. Gen X at least had a ladder. Maybe they had the rope. I don't know. It's an analogy, Don't hold me to it.
It is unsettling and beautiful, comforting yet eerie. Vaporwave floats in a dreamlike suspension, inviting Gen Z to mourn what never fully was, while simultaneously questioning what could have been. It invites us to dig deep and look at our earliest memories.
I mean, dying as a child in the 90s would probably be like the best course of action. Because, like, look, your parents probably are doing pretty well, and like, you're just a kid and stuff like that. I don't know, but my life wasn't that great. My parents did very well, and my life still sucked.
As a young child,
my sister's life must have been pretty cool. Not mine.
My family moved houses a couple times. I remember going on tours of these clean houses that were often empty.
Hot Dog says we had enough rope to hang ourselves with. Gen X. Yeah, well, I mean, I get that. But I mean, Gen X, their main gripe was all like, what's it all mean? What's it all matter? And stuff like that. And they were like all cool and nihilistic. And they had like badass movies like The Matrix to watch and shit like that. Being Gen X wasn't that bad, right? And now, at the age you're at now, I mean, a lot of Gen X are doing okay. They had houses. They have houses. They're doing somewhat okay. Not all of them. Trust me, not all of them. But like, they had a chance. They had it was normal mode, right? But like, after that, millennials, they had far less of a chance. A couple of them made it. A lot of them didn't. Most of them didn't. And then Gen Z, Gen Z is not looking promising. I don't even know about Gen Alpha. Will they exist? Probably not. The majority of Gen Alpha does not exist. 90% of Gen Alpha, what should be Gen Alpha, probably got aborted or fucking like Plan B'd away, or just like, people stop having sex because, no one was getting drunk and nailing each other and shit. And so there's no there's no Generation Alpha. There's a few of them. Not enough to like support society. Not enough to support like the unfunded liabilities that's going, like, I don't plan on getting Social Security from my kids. I know I'm not going to get Social Security. I have to pay into it, sure, but I'm never going to get it. It's those boomers on the damn escalator waiting at the top with their fucking Mai Tais and their yachts. Damn them. Right? And they're all like, you're just lazy. Okay. All right. But the thing is, there's not there's poor boomers. There's poor boomers out there that cannot make ends meet or anything like that. And they're just ignored. They're just straight up ignored. Don't feel any pity for them either, though. You just assumed it would be easy your entire life. And so you decided not to, squirrel away enough to, coast. As a boomer, you could have easily made enough money by the age of 30 to retire comfortably for the rest of your life. If you were smart and you did, I mean, I'm not saying you didn't have to work hard. You had to work reasonably hard. Not like you have to today just to survive, but like reasonably hard by boomer standards. You could have easily retired by the age of 30. A lot of them. Not all of them, a lot of them.
Houses were not supposed to be empty, and that is what made them interesting and satisfying. They were liminal spaces.
Karen boomers enabled their kids to be junkies and pieces of shit also. I mean, yeah, well, Karens are the worst. The female boomer is the worst person they're the worst. Not all of them, but in general, they're the worst. They're the worst of the worst. They don't even realize how bad they are. They're super entitled. They've basically had everything handed to them their entire life. Look, women in general aren't great, but like boomer women are the worst. You know, they spend like 30 grand a month on fucking shoes and purses and then piss on everybody who doesn't do exactly what they say because they're like, they feel like they're elite. They are the worst of the worst.
I remember being amazed at these very clean, empty places. I scoped out where my room could be, and what life would be like in a new place and in a new community. The liminal space of these new houses represent potential. Life seemed exciting. When we're young, the world is still being written, and places like empty houses represent a world of possibilities. The emptiness was full of a sacred potential energy. For children, potential feels infinite. These empty homes were liminal spaces.
These are beautiful houses too. These are beautiful homes, right? This is old. This is the did this for carpeting. They put down wood because for old houses they put down wood before carpeting. Now they just use, I don't know, plywood or something like that. But these are very nice wood floors that they covered up with shitty carpet and then they ripped them up and they're like, look at these beautiful wood floors. And very nice. Very nice. These houses are easily $1 million range, high 700, 800s. You know, you don't get build quality like this. Don't buy any house made after 2000. They just suck. They're just piles of shit. You know, they just started. There's houses going up all over the place, and they're like tilted and stuff, and like things are like not square. They're all built by Mexicans and they're just garbage. They're piles of garbage and they're asking like fucking $500,000 for this shit box house, right? It doesn't matter if it's big, it's shitty. It's a big pile of shit. You're going to have to pay to get it rebuilt in a few years anyway. People buy them though, I guess. People buy them.
A transition in life, a new chapter, a new identity, a new set of routines and rituals. I wasn't just moving houses, I was moving selves. These experiences remind us of moments when the future felt full of promise. They stir up memories of times when life was unfolding, when the next step was unknown yet thrilling. And for children, those moments root deeply in the psyche. They become part of your programming. Technology in the late 1990s and early 2000s was making a lot of noise. It whirred, it clicked, it loaded. It was
I remember. You fucking fire up that computer and it would be like I was like, look at it go. look at that thing go. Oh, I'm gonna play Doom so much on this shit. Yeah. And now it's just completely silent. Just a dead box in the corner. Hey, dead box. It could do anything. I mean, that's a 4090. I think there's an i7 in there. I don't know. It's strong. I don't use it for anything though. I thought I was gonna use it for like gaming and shit. I don't do that. No, I don't do that. This is strictly my work computer. I just use it for work. And like, if I want to play games, I'll use my PlayStation or something like that. Yeah, but this just fucking sits there. Just sad. It's sad, really. It's a nice computer. No, I don't put it to its full potential of like mining Bitcoin or whatever. It wouldn't even make anything. It wouldn't be worth the electricity.
Full of wonder. It had character. Instead of scrolling endlessly, you simply waited. In the waiting, there was a sense that
LAN
something
parties?
new was being born.
Did you guys ever do LAN parties? I've been to a couple in my life. They're fun. I like them. Hanging with the boys, playing some video games. Yeah, LAN parties are fun.
Something was loading in both the machine and in the world. For Gen Z, coming of age during this era meant watching technology grow with them.
Hogdog says, I grew up on ski boats and jet skis. That fucking rocks, dude. That's fucking metal. I'm planning on getting a jet ski. That was my plan. I was looking at jet skis. I'm thinking about getting one of those Sea-Doo Sparks with the tricks, the Sparks tricks. They're the cheap ones, but I mean, like, fuck, I don't give a shit. I'll take a cheap jet ski over no jet ski. It looks like fun. I live right next to the water. I mean, there's no reason not to have one. I'll just fucking pick me up a jet ski and I'll have a blast. I'll have a great time. If you guys have an extra jet ski that you want to send me as a gift or like a donation or something like that, you will be forever in my heart.
Gadgets were something external.
It doesn't hurt to ask. It doesn't hurt to ask. Hey, do you guys have any spare jet skis or anything like that you want to send my way? I'll come and pick it up. I'll take it. I'll have a good time on it. It'll be in a good... I'll take care of it. I'll name it and shit. I don't know what I'll name it.
To us. They were portals. The internet wasn't yet a mirror reflecting ourselves back in filtered fragments. It was a frontier. Every glowing screen felt like a door to a
Cheddar.
bigger world. There was magic
Cheddar pretends to care about me. You're a liar, Cheddar.
in the machine. The future
I was talking to my wife, and I was all like, look, Cheddar says he cares about me. I'm going to call him a liar. And she's like, don't you do that. I'm like, fine.
still had an aesthetic. Websites were cluttered but colorful.
Is a P.O. box
Interfaces-
set up for jet skis? It's not. It's like this big. It's a small P.O. box. It's not a jet ski size one. Those are expensive. Can't afford the jet ski size P.O. boxes. But if you send them there, I think they'll like put a slip in the box, and then I'll come pick it up. I'll be like, is there a jet ski here? And they'll be like, yeah. I'll be like, fucking sweet. Fucking sweet.
had soul. There were error sounds, loading animations, clip art mascots, and startup
I guess I'm a good
jingles.
actor, he says.
Technology
Yeah,
was
you're a good
quirky.
actor.
It was human in its limitations, but it felt inviting, not invasive. This aligns with Gen Z's earliest identity. Children full of curiosity and promise, growing with a world still optimistic about what tech could do. Both the youth and the digital world around them were full of potential, unscripted, and not yet optimized or monetized. You did not have to be useful online. You could just explore. As this
Dude, I remember the internet was a weird place. I mean, people thought it was dangerous. Oh, you serial killers on Craigslist and stuff like that. Yeah, okay, fine, whatever. But like now, if you have to do something online. I don't know. People used to have hobbies. You can't have hobbies that you don't monetize these days. Everyone's like, you can't make art for art. Everyone's like, oh, you can make money doing this. Why does it always have to be about fucking money? It wasn't always like that. It wasn't always like that. You would have like your thing where you'd go and work and stuff like that. And that would provide enough money for you to like spend money on your hobbies and like have enough to live left over. And then raise a family and pay your mortgage and shit like that. And do all those things. Have a vacation. Have a couple vacations a year. And you have a hobby on top of that you're not like monetizing, that you're just doing it for the hell of it, just for a passion. People had entire workshops in their houses, and they're like, yeah, this is just what I do when I'm not doing other things. I build train sets. Look at it go. Look at it go. I put trees. Look, there's a little mail station. And these would be intricate and like vast. And he'd be like, yeah, I spent like $90,000 putting this together, which is a lot of money back then. So you had extra money like that? You had extra money like that? It's like, yeah. Yeah. My mortgage is only $20 a month. It's getting lower somehow. Somehow it's getting lower. That's robbed from us. You can't build a train set. No, you could just, you could just fantasize about it. Even if you want to buy Legos, go buy a Lego set right now. I dare you to go buy like a Star Wars Lego set and not be shocked at the price. Fucking $250 for a Legos for plastic. Plastic. That I have to put together myself. You just gave me a bunch of fucking pieces and I have to put it together. Right? Plastic. It's plastic. Shocking. It's absolutely shocking. They took that from you. And it's not like it's gone. If you still have the money, you can do anything. Right? But every year, less and less money is, it's worth less every year. Every year you take a 20% pay cut. At least that's what it feels like. You know, you do 20% less. That's what you get every year. I don't know if that's the exact, but it definitely feels like that.
Generation grew older, so did technology. The change may have only appeared to get better. The devices got sleeker, but the culture grew harsher. The interfaces got smarter, but the human experience started to feel dumber. The internet stopped being a world and became a feed. That magic...
It did. It became the scroll. It became like a zombie scroll, and then you just scroll. Then it's not even interesting or titillating or anything like that. It's just like, it's like half naked females and just like, oh, look at this shit. And then kind of funny stuff. And like, oh, there's Tesla. And then, oh, this is nostalgia shit right there. And then, yeah, a bunch of people mad, some fat people. Is a gay stuff. Yeah, it's not fun. It's not fun to me. It's not fun for me. I'm sorry. It is kind of like interesting. It was interesting. This is why if you like drop acid or something like that and try to like scroll through your feed, you're like, I don't give a shit about any of this. I don't give a shit about any of this. It turns off your brain. It turns off like the dopamine receptors in your brain. So you're like, I don't want to be on Twitter right now. I want to look at this tree and watch it move in the wind and stuff like that. Wow, that's super neat. I'm going to do that for the next 8 hours. It frees you. It frees you for just a little bit. You know, I'm not saying you should do that, but it's kind of an interesting experiment, right? Like, how worthwhile is really the modern internet? And besides, the modern internet is 80% bots minimum. Minimum. You know how I'm not a bot? Because you can look at me fucking right here. Ask me to do something. I'll hold up all the fingers, right? 3, 2, 1. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I'm a real fucking person. You know? I'm not pretty. This isn't even a fucking filter. This is me, right? There's no fucking filters here. You can't, like, you go on TikTok and you got a bunch of pictures. There's a bunch of bitches with, like, filters on, and they're like, it's all pink and shit. It's filters. It doesn't even look like you. I know some chicks like that on the internet. They're covered in like TikTok filters and Instagram filters. I'm like, you don't look like that, bitch. Your skin is terrible. IRL, your skin is rotten. It looks bad. What do you fucking drink canola oil on your weekends? Like, seriously. Seriously. Nothing's real. And that makes me angry. That upsets me. Because it makes this like kind of weird. I don't know, man. It's like living in some weird matrix where everything is fake and gay. And fake and gay. And fake and gay. And it's just fucking fake and gay. Christian. It's like people only do these things because they can get paid. And that's just really sad. I know what you did there. But I'm not doing this to get paid. I honestly am not. I don't need to do this. I can spend my days on the fucking beach if I want. But I do this anyway. You know why? Because I'm kind of angry and I need to tell people about it. No, I like doing this. I like making jokes. I like doing... This is what I like to do. This is my art form. And so I'm compelled to do it. And I will do it until I'm in my grave. It's not about a financial incentive, although that is nice, right? I don't rely on streaming, okay? That's obviously. Obviously, I enjoy doing this. I enjoy being with you people, even though sometimes you're pretty mean to me. Hello, wife. Right? They're mean to me.
Are mean to you.
No, super mean. I do this because I like doing this. I don't do this for any other reason, right? Not because I want to become famous. Not because I want to make $1 million. I would like those things. I would like the money before the fame, honestly, like straight up. But, but like at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is that people are watching and people are enjoying it. That's what really matters. And that's why I'm here night after fucking night doing this over in the daytime. And I do day work. I could be spending time with my family, but I choose not to. I choose to come and I make jokes. What? I choose not to hang out with that terrible family of mine. Just so I can come and make jokes for you guys. So I can entertain you. Just because that's what I enjoy doing. Right? That's what I want to do. And so I do it.
Gave way to metrics.
Can you make me another one?
Eventually, we weren't using technology.
Yeah.
The technology was using us. Maybe this is why so many people in Gen Z feel a nostalgia for an old operating system. Because they feel nostalgia for an old sense of self. A self that still believed. A self that saw technology not as surveillance, but as...
Thought says, I learned today that Reddit is the #1 source of all AI training models, which is terrifying considering Reddit is a hugely biased and largely underage. Why do you think they use that? Why do you think they use Reddit specifically? The worst of the websites. The absolute pinnacle of garbage people, right? People on Reddit are the worst fucking people. Trust me. I know Reddit kids. I met them in real life. They look like you would think they look. There's a reason why they specifically use Reddit. Reddit is heavily filtered and heavily controlled. The people that chose to use these training, look, dude, I don't want to get into the huge conspiracy behind it, but trust me, there's a fucking conspiracy behind it. There always is. There always is.
As opportunity, not as artificial intelligence, but as authentic wonder. Though we live in a time of unprecedented technology.
Hog Dog says, fuck them kids. The cult is fam. It is fam. This is my other family. Don't tell my wife.
Logical power.
I got 2 families.
People seem to understand less about how it actually works. What was once a tool to be tinkered with has now become a seamless black box service. I know this all sounds like those baby boomer cringe and cliche phone
Christian says you yell at us instead of the kids. Got it. Well, yeah, I mean, there's no reason to yell at the kids. They don't know. I mean, you guys are grown adults. I can yell at you. You guys can take it. And like, honestly, it's just like, yeah, this is my yelling time. This is daddy's yelling hour. Okay. This is daddy's yelling hour. And like the kids want to come in and like spend time with daddy. And my wife's like, no. It's daddy's yelling time. And you just hear muffled, God damn it. Through the door. They're going to grow up like that. They're going to be like, daddy's in his angry room. And then he comes out and he's happy again. Then everything's fine. And like, it honestly is like that. Because sometimes I'm pissed. Sometimes I'm pissed and I'm like, I'm going to go to my angry room and I'm going to stream. And I'm going to yell at them because they deserve it. Right? I'm going to yell at you guys. I'm not yelling specifically at you. I'm just yelling. I'm yelling in general. My kids, if I were to yell like this, they'd be like, we don't understand. Maybe when they get older, I'll start ranting at them. Or I'll just be like, just watch the stream, dude. Just watch the stream. And he's like, yeah, I know. You're unhinged, Dad. I'm like, yeah, that's my boy.
Bad memes, but this is exactly the reason those memes exist. This is exactly the reason people use technology to ironic.
Thought says, this guy's voice is better than the other guy's, but still douchey. My God, Thought, you are so judgmental. Like, this is, you're being a woman. This is you being a woman. This is your natural mate-seeking behavior. You're sensing the tone in his voice and determining whether he would be a good provider or not. And you have decided that he will not. So, and now you got to tell us all about it. Okay, tell us. Would you fuck this guy, Thought? The answer is probably no.
Create and distribute content on how technology is bad. But it's not that technology is
That's funny,
necessarily
huh?
bad. It's just so different from the way we once envisioned it could be. Gen Z occupies a unique in-between space. They were the last generation to grow up with the internet rather than in the internet. They watched technology evolve from something mechanical and...
The internet's not the same thing as we remember it. It is its own entity. I'm gonna look at your graph here. Look at your graph. Web domains cited by large language models in June 2025. Reddit right there. 40%. Wow, that is a huge mistake. Wikipedia, again, a huge mistake. Wikipedia and Reddit are the worst of the worst, right? Like, that is the worst of the worst. No wonder Grok sounds like a fucking Reddit mod. OpenStreet, Mapbox, TripAdvisor, Amazon, Facebook. Garbage. Not X, huh? Not X, huh? I wonder. Well, we all know why. Why not like 4chan? It'd be way better if it was like 4chan and like X and stuff instead of like, man, I would listen to that one. That shit, I'd be like, tell me what you know. And he'd be like, dude, okay, so like, all right, there's these things called anime cat girls. And like sometimes they can have a dick and sometimes they don't. And I'll be like, you can stop right there, Grok.
hands-on
You can
to
stop right
something
there.
invisible and cloud-based. They were once
I don't
digital
need to hear
natives
anymore.
and digital mechanics. When my family first got DSL internet, it was absolutely mind-blowing. This was the first time I
Dick sucking lips internet. Yeah, I remember that internet.
realized the internet could do more than just email. My family gathered around the desk.
God, you remember this shit? The setup? My grandparents had a setup. My grandpa, my grandpa, he had a fucking setup like this, and it's like legit. It's legit. You couldn't have drinks at it. He wouldn't let you to have drinks at it, but you could play with it. You could spend time on it. You could play games and shit. That was like his station.
Top computer daily, similar to how a family of the 1800s may have gotten a
Yes, thought I can imagine a 4chan AI, and I hope they do make that one day. I know they will. I know somebody's gonna come out and be like, "Yo, you know how AI is usually trained on Reddit, and they think like, they think what they think." And well, this one's trained on 4chan, and I'll be like, "Yeah, I'll start using that one. I'll start using the 4chan one because holy shit." Holy shit, dude. That would be a good one. That's a good one right there.
wagon and set out together for the Oregon Trail. My family journeyed together to explore the internet, and we would check out videos on there, which was the treasure. This was before we even heard of YouTube.
Does anybody even go to Wikipedia anymore? For like, maybe very specific things. But Wikipedia isn't exactly the facts of facts. It's very strongly, look, they do have a lot of facts about a lot of things. Don't get me wrong. Some things are not true. Some things are just like, no, that's not true. That's not true. But if you go to try to change it, they'll lock you out and be like, and then they'll change it back. It's like that. It's just another controlled forum, just like Reddit, right? And Reddit is the worst. There's a reason they banned me from Reddit, like a long time ago, because I was just keeping it real. I kept it too real, and they're like, you know what? You're not allowed back here. And I'd be like, yeah, yeah. Yeah. And then I didn't go on the internet very much for a long time until Royce was like, hey, you should get an X account. And I was all like, Twitter? I'm not really a Twitter guy. He was like, just hop on. You can just hop on. And we did, and we got fucking addicted to it. We got fucking addicted to Twitter, and now I'm on Twitter every day. I'm on Twitter right now. See? You see me. Most of you are watching me from Twitter right now, which is like cool, but it's also kind of lame because Twitter doesn't pay me shit.
We watched a lot of stupid videos. The website we watched was literally called Stupid Videos. I'm not sure this website offered any enrichment to our lives. These videos...
Onia says Wikipedia is good for like math, but history and science are useless. Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, I believe that 100%. History especially. I would take history on Wikipedia with a grain of salt. History in general has been heavily redacted. Heavily. I mean, it is currently being redacted in real life. They're ripping down statues and like burying buildings and blowing up buildings. It's just, they're trying to erase all culture. So we all live in this kind of not a utopia. It's a utopia for some people, but this like techno-futuristic place where nobody has a past. Nobody has like a lineage and stuff. We're just all kind of this gross blob, this biomass that they control and, you know, keep us as expendable as possible. It is a divide and conquer technique, but also it is like we're dividing them by making them all the same person. There's no delineation between race or sex or anything, right? Anything, history, none of that. No, you all have to be replaceable cogs. There's no difference between man or woman or white or black or Puerto Rican or whatever. You are all equally worthless in my eyes, and I will kill you when I see fit. Not if, when I see fit. That is essentially what humanity is boiling down to. Just biomass. Just wasteful biomass that will be eliminated when in due time. And don't even tell me that's not exactly what's happening, because that is exactly what's happening.
Videos were either just cats acting sporadic or monkeys urinating in their own mouths. However, did pull the catch.
I want that. I want the cat and monkey piss ones. I want the cat and monkey piss internet. Why can't we have that internet back? That was like when that gorilla get shot, like 2016. I feel like that's when the internet really started to fucking suck. You know? That's when the internet really started to fucking suck. And, you know, then I was like, yeah, I'll hop on this shit and I'll be a part of it. When did I start doing that? 2021? When I started doing that? I don't know. It's been a while. Still going nowhere. But again, it's not about the money. If it were about the money, I would have stopped a long time ago. It's about you guys. I need someone to yell at. I can't just keep yelling at my wife. She doesn't absorb any of it.
Up to the desktop computer.
It's like yelling at a brick wall. It's just
and the couch did stay there.
Dicks out for Harambe, exactly. He got shot because some little black kid wasn't being watched by his mom, not my mom, by his mom. And he jumped into the fucking gorilla exhibit, or I'm sorry, he fell. Well, what were you doing hanging way over? And then Harambe was all like, there's another gorilla in here, but it's a young one. And they're all like, which one do we shoot? Which one? I can't tell the difference.
The television had been replaced.
That's unnecessary racism. That was completely unnecessary racism. But they ended up getting the wrong one. And
knew this was not the same internet of the 90s. We knew technology would never be the same.
Christian says, dude, you're on Daywave. You made it. No, JK. Thanks, bro. Thanks. I volunteer on Daywave, by the way.
This is something Gen Alpha never experienced.
There's a reason why some days I just don't come in. Some days I'm just like, nah, I'm not doing it today. Because there's nothing to lose. I'm just like, I'm not, nah.
Gen Alpha is growing up.
No, I honestly do. I try to make it in as much as possible because I enjoy being on Daywave. I really do like it. I feel like I do good work there. I make good jokes and it's a lot of fun for me. But yeah, that's the only reason. I mean, maybe exposure. Exposure is good. So I can run my own channel. That's it though.
Sealed off ecosystem through smartphones, tablets, and AI assistants. It's designed to feel like magic instead of machines. Apps are interfaces, not tools. Cloud storage replaces file management. Updates happen silently in the background. As a result, many of them don't see technology as something to understand. They see technology as something to use, because that's what technology offers them. This is not something bad. This is just something a lot more different than what we thought it would be, as is life. Yet, this shift marks the loss of a certain kind of creativity, a kind of digital craftsmanship that Gen Z just inherited from the world of the 90s. And it's part of why that era now feels so deeply nostalgic. The 90s were the last time technology felt knowable. You could open a computer tower and see the wires. You could blow into a game cartridge and make it work.
Yeah, but that wasn't actually making it work. Apparently that was bad for it, but I remember we would do that. We would blow into it and then it would work, even though I don't even think that's what... Would it get really that dusty every single time? I did it all the time. And it did work. God, fucking old. Jesus. Yeah. That's fine, though. I play games still. Fucking almost... God, how am I? I'll be 38 this year. Yeah. 40's coming up. Jesus.
There's a spirit of learning through trial and error.
Still out here plugging away, doing my jokes, doing my thing. I feel like, I act like I've been doing this forever. I really haven't. This channel is maybe 2 years old. Maybe a little older, but not that long. But I have been doing comedy for well over a decade.
Future did not feel like
I just do it like this now. Is it better? No.
Polished, manipulative algorithm.
But it does make more money. It does make more money. I think I was pretty good on stage, though. I was very good on stage.
Playful. Technology was a frontier that
no one look into that, by the way.
Always invited you to create. That's part of why so many romanticize this time. It was a moment when humanity and technology felt like they were learning together.
Anemoia says, if blowing into it didn't work, why did it always work? That's the fucking math I'm trying to work out. I'm like, that should not have worked, but every time it worked. Why did that work? Was it like, are we trying to like, how the fuck is that supposed to work? It always worked, though. It always worked. Are we like turning it on sexually? I don't understand. Blowing into a cartridge? There's no way it's that dusty. There's no fucking way, because I did it every time.
The nostalgia was for a time where you could understand the world that was being built around you and believe you had a role in building it too.
Dude, you're talking like I wasn't there. I was fucking there. I was there. I did it. I was there 3,000 years ago at the start of the wars. The console wars. Not a real war. It was a console war. I got them both. But like, it worked. It worked. I was there. Don't talk to me like I don't know the old ways. I was there when it was written.
2. Entertainment of the late 20th century.
Onia says, I hate this guy's phenotype. Dude, I do too. I don't know what it is about this guy's fucking face, but it looks like a punchable fucking face, doesn't it? That looks like a fucking punchable face, like, pow. Not saying I would. I'm not even saying he's a bad guy, or I think he's a bad dude in any way. He might be perfectly nice, but he's just got one of them faces. I don't get it. He's just got a bad phenotype. I mean, you can't do all that. Like, thought's not going to fuck you, so you don't do well with the ladies. We can tell. I feel bad, but like, Jesus Christ. You look like Mac tonight.
Humanity and technology felt like they were learning together. The nostalgia...
No one else took their NES apart? Not my NES, but I took my Xbox 360 apart. Because that, like, it stopped working. And I had to fucking, like... I'm going to say jerry-rig it, because I can't say the other term. To make it work again. So it was just a bunch of pieces with like the fucking disc rotating and shit. Now I'm playing Skyrim.
It was for a time where you could understand the world that was being built around you and believe you had a role in building it too. Entertainment of the late 20th century almost feels bigger today than it felt back then. The fascination with the sitcoms of...
I never got red ringed. I never got the red ring. It just stopped spinning the disc. Once you get the red ring, it's over. If you get red ringed on the 360, it's over. So I never got the red ring.
This time is more than just jokes and characters. It's about the world they offered, a world that now feels impossibly distant. When we watch these shows, we're stepping into a parallel universe where adulthood looked attainable, community was built into everyday life, and problems could be resolved in 22 minutes. There's a deeply comforting simplicity in that. The storylines were rarely heavy.
360 was such a POS. Yeah, I'm not gonna argue that.
The characters were endearingly flawed.
But the PS2 was fucking fire, dude. The PS2 was solid. Carlisa Lede, you don't have no people is crazy. Okay.
Conflict never spiraled into chaos. It was digestible and silly, and always wrapped up neatly with jokes and morals. These shows did not
That's on the
demand
YouTube chat.
cynicism from
We
their
always get the
viewers.
whimsical ones coming in the YouTube chat.
They offered warmth, rhythm, and routine. Life was chaotic outside the screen, but sitcoms gave us structure. A living room, a diner, an oversized apartment, a workplace where everyone somehow got along. They gave us hope. Part of the fascination lies in what these shows implied about the world. It was possible to have independence, stability, and a close friend group without constant burnout.
Damn. How much of a flex from the fucking 90s is it on like people of today when you have a show called Friends? Like, damn, dude, just rubbing that shit in. I mean, they might as well just call it relationships because that's what you aren't having. That's what you don't get. Is like normal, common relationships where you can actually like smell people and like, you know, talk to each other. And then look, this isn't the same thing as like being in the room with someone. I mean, I don't want to be in the room with you guys, but like, it is different. It is a different kind of dynamic, right? Like, there's so many micro signals and like inside jokes that people only get if they are in person. There's plenty of those online like this, but just having friends in real life is a different thing. You can't have hundreds of friends in real life. You have a couple. You have a couple of good ones that you've known for a long time. And if you need to like lift a couch or something, you call your friend up and you're like, yo, help me lift this couch. Get over here. And then they're over there and they're helping you lift a couch and shit like that. And then you don't like owe them anything. You don't owe them anything. I mean, like, it'd be nice if you helped them with their couch, but that's basically it. You don't have to like pay them money or shit like that. That's a big deal. That's like how people live. And like these people, these friends had time to make friends while living in a gigantic apartment in New York City. In multiple apartments. They all had big apartments in New York City. Right? And it's just like, even back then it was a little unbelievable, but like today, that's impossible. If you're in New York City, everything you're doing is to make money, right? You're not like hooking up with fucking Jennifer Aniston or anything. None of that. None of that. Jennifer Aniston would be a prostitute. And she would still live in a fucking mailbox. If that, right? There'd be a bathroom down the hall. And then it's not just New York. It's basically anywhere unless you're living in like fucking North Dakota or some shit like that where you're not going to get fucked anyway. Right? You just can't live. And this is all by design. This is all to make you expendable. This is why you have to buy things, right? They're like, oh, it makes so much more sense to rent. Okay, then rent until the rent goes up. Then you fucking get pushed out of your apartment. Or you lease your car and they take your car away from you. I know shit's expensive. Own things. Don't let them fucking take everything from you. Do whatever you can to own something. Because ownership is freedom. Ownership is the American way. They want to take everything from you. They want everything to be a goddamn subscription. Don't let them do that. Buy things. But I know it's hard, and they're making it hard intentionally. You have to buy things. Buy things that'll last. if you can.
In the show's Friends and Seinfeld, young adults lived in spacious New York City apartments while working entry-level or inconsistent jobs. This setup was often mocked as
Okay, see you, Christian. Enjoy your dinner.
unrealistic, yet it reflected
Tell the wife hello.
a version of 1990s idealism rooted in possibility. Even if exaggerated, the notion that you
Cheddar said the government took my virginity. I bet they didn't pay you anything for it either. They just took it. They're just like, you're not using this.
could move to a big city, chase
Just like my fucking foreskin. I'm like, I was going to use that. And they're like, no, you weren't. Yoink. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? It didn't go in the bioreactor in the basement of the hospital. I know that. It goes in a special foreskin drawer. It goes in a special foreskin drawer with a bunch of other baby foreskins. It gets sold off to, like, I don't know, L'Oreal or something like that. They put in a face cream so some old lady can rub foreskins on her face. Like, dude, pay me. I'll do that. I'll rub my foreskin on your face.
your dreams and still afford rent.
I'll do it. I mean, for the amount you pay for that cream, I'll do it for less than that. I'll give you a big old mushroom print.
Spoke to a time when upward mobility and personal freedom felt within reach. These shows embodied the optimism of the era, the belief that independence,
You can't buy a new foreskin. I mean, you probably could.
friendship, and self-discovery were not only desirable, but economically feasible. Today, that same setup feels like a fantasy. In The Simpsons, Homer's ability to support a family of 5 on a single income with only a high school diploma reflects a bygone era of economic stability.
Wild. Absolutely wild. Also, that entire thing where they showed him at the nuclear power plant, that was propaganda. They were trying to force out nuclear power because Kissinger was in the process of establishing the petrodollar shortly before this, during the Nixon administration. I know Reagan was in office when they started The Simpsons, but it played into that. Kissinger was trying to establish a petrodollar, right? And by doing this, he wanted to push out fucking nuclear energy, because Nixon was going to bring in a bunch of nuclear energy to take us off reliance of foreign oil. But Kissinger was like, no. We are going to rely on foreign oil, and we're going to strike a deal with the Saudis that they can only sell their oil in US dollars. That way, anybody in the world who wants Saudi oil is going to have to purchase it with American dollars, right? Because the U.S. has tons of oil, but we're not using our oil. We're just sitting on it. We're just keeping it. We're not even using it for our own. We're extracting it from the Middle East, right? So we're forcing everybody on the planet to use dollars to buy oil. And at the same time, we're gutting our own nuclear programs so that all this foreign investment goes to the Middle East, and then Israel gets a healthy chunk, right? It helps secure Israel's borders as well, right? Otherwise, we'd be completely energy independent right now if we actually established a large nuclear. And then it was all propagandized, and Chernobyl was sabotage. Chernobyl was definitely sabotage. There's no doubt in my mind that Chernobyl was sabotaged. And then it was a bunch of bullshit about like how nuclear power is unsafe because people like Homer Simpson are working at it. A high school reject is fucking working at quality assurance or Sector 7G, whatever it fucking is.
Ability and upward mobility for the American working class. While exaggerated for comedy, the show tapped into a very real 1990s idealism.
Critical Thought says, I am an esthetician. Tried to sell me stem cell face cream, and I knew enough to ask, is there foreskin in it? And she said yes. Yeah, yes. Hilarious, but yes, that is absolutely true. Her assistant looked horrified. I guess she didn't know. That's pretty funny. It's called Plated Daily Serum, for anyone wondering. The plated intends does not have the foreskins, only consenting platelet stem cells, so I got that one. Okay, well, great. But there is foreskins in face cream. And I like how the lady didn't know and she was horrified. Yeah, bitch. It's baby foreskins. You're rubbing baby foreskins on your face.
Where a simple, middle-class life was seen as attainable and secure. The series functioned as both a satire and a time capsule, parodying suburban life while simultaneously capturing its core aspirations. I am saying nothing unique in this observation, but the reason modern Simpsons now feels like a zombie is because it's a—
Anyways, I gotta do one of these. All right, anglers, if you're ready to fish remote lakes or quiet rivers in total stealth mode, check out the Nevada Fishing Float Tube from Caddis Sports. This U-shaped beast is built for serious fishing missions, ultra stable, super maneuverable, and as tough as nails thanks to heavy-duty rip-stop material and double-stitched seams. You get a padded backrest, oversized seat, 2 large gear pockets, rod holder, stripping apron, and even a dry fly patch. Everything you need to stay locked in and ready when the bite is on. Fluorescent accents keep you visible out on the water, and carry handles make it easy to haul in and out. Whether you're chasing bass in the shallows or hiking into alpine trout lakes, the Nevada Float Tube is built for the job. Use code RUMBLE at checkout for 10% off your order today. That's caddissports.com. Get out there, stay light, and catch the big one. Okay, nice. I hope these actually get, because not a single one has been approved yet.
It's a premise that just simply does not work in a post-1990s society. These shows weren't meant to be completely unrealistic fantasy. These were ridiculous comedies that were still intended to feel relatively grounded. They were at least somewhat believable at the time. That's what makes them feel tragic in
people happy living in New York. I don't see how that's possible. I don't see how you can live in New York City and be happy. I've never been to New York, but I've been to a city. I used to go to San Francisco pretty regularly, and no one there was happy. No. There's a ton of gay people, and they pretend to be happy, but you can see a deep soullessness in their eyes. There's no way those people are happy. But whatever. If you're gay and you're happy, then you're a liar. You're a liar.
Retrospect. Coming of age
no
in a
way.
time where housing is unaffordable.
I'm
and
sorry. I
wages
mean, like,
stack-
you're probably having fun doing drugs and plowing dudes. I don't say that. I'm not saying that. You're probably having fun doing that. Happiness is different. Happiness is more sustained. It's not big old dopamine boost after dopamine boost of like doing meth and banging dudes. It's different than that. Now, true contentment is much harder to achieve. It takes a lot of work.
Agne, these sitcoms truly feel like relics of a lost civilization. They show a version of America where the future seemed open, where social bonds did not depend on algorithms, and laughter wasn't canned. It was communal. People used to watch shows together. A lot of people would tune in at the same time to
God, I remember all of it. I remember it all.
watch the same thing. Watching TV has always been a waste of time, but we used to waste time together. The laugh track itself is symbolic. Today it is outdated and artificial, but
You remember it with me? It's a rare condition in this day and age. The soup is on the newspaper page. In a grand design. Something. And there must be somebody new that says it's something. It's Full House. I'm pretty sure that.
back then it reinforced the idea of
You guys
togetherness.
remember?
It told you you're not alone.
I'm not a
Others
singer. I'm not a singer.
are watching too. Others are laughing. You belong to something. Compare that to the detached, ironic tone
Where's Knob's dog? Did he finally die? Okay.
of many modern
No loss.
shows, which reflect the despair and nihilism of
No
our
loss there.
time. In the late
And I wonder
20th
where
century,
Scott's been. Scott, he's probably going to watch this. Scott, You just keep to yourself. Just eat your split pea soup, stay away from spicy things, and watch your stories.
Even when things went wrong, there was still a belief that things
Old
would
man.
work out. Watching these shows now is seeking a template for when life felt full of promise. In The Matrix, the simulated world is set in the year 1999 because that was described as the peak of human civilization.
I mean, I guess it was. I mean, it was like before shit really started to fucking suck. Because, like, after 2001, it was like, yeah, all that thing happened. And then they started, like, locking down things and, like, really gathering intel. And then everyone was a terrorist. And it was just like, oh, God. And then 2008 rolled around. And that whole thing, that fiasco happened. And, it was a mess. The 2000s were a mess.
Now, this was likely a convenient plot device at the time, but in hindsight, it unironically lands with eerie resonance. What
Sure
may have
does.
started as a fictional justification for the film's aesthetics now feels like an accurate cultural prophecy. As time has passed, more and more people look back at 1999 as a symbolic summit, the last moment when the modern world felt hopeful, coherent, and human. 1990
He's busy eating salads. Who? Scott? Is Scott eating salads? Good. Stick with you need your greens. Salads.
was the threshold between
I don't know. What's it with old people and salads? I don't.
2 centuries. America felt dominant, but not yet hollowed out by endless wars or
Hollowed out. Yes. This entire millennium, that's a good way of putting it. Because America in the 90s was a different place. It was not hollowed out. There was substance to it. It was fullness. It was optimism and stuff. People looked forward to the future. Like I said, kids were asked what they were going to do, what they're going to be in the future, and there was a bunch of different answers. Now you ask them and they're like, I'm going to be an influencer. I'm going to be a YouTuber. I'm going to be an influencer. That's because that's the only real jobs, right? That's the only real jobs that people can like really have. I mean, what are you going to work in AI? Well, that's not necessary. It's by the time you grow up, it's going to be essentially perfect. You're not going to help. What are you going to do? Build computers like Bill Gates? You were born in the wrong decade, son. You were born in the wrong decade. There's a reason why people born in certain decades got so filthy rich. It's because they were just born at the right time to take advantage of certain technological rises and capitalize on them, right? People born today will not have that. But I don't know the future. But come on, let's be honest. It ain't looking bright. It ain't looking bright like it was in the 90s. You were born in the 90s, like you had the world ahead of you. Or so they thought. So they thought. They couldn't imagine what a couple of decades of endless wars and endless money printing could create. But here we are. Here we are, 20, 30 years on. And it ain't great. It ain't great. It's pretty depressing. Watching people fall and like be strung out on drugs, do the fentanyl and stuff like that. And just no hope. No matter how hard you work. I know a lot of hardworking people. I really do. And they ain't getting nowhere. They're getting nowhere. And you feel bad. You feel bad because it's just getting harder and harder. And they work harder and harder and harder and harder and stuff like that. And then no one's having fucking kids because they just can't financially afford it. Right? And I'm all like, why? Because, yeah, it is. It's hard. It ain't easy. They're expensive as fuck. Don't get me wrong. But that's not why you shouldn't not have kids, right? There's an ethical thing behind it. Some people are like, why would I bring a kid in with such a bleak existence ahead of them? And I can understand that too. But I mean, like, shit's going to suck sometimes. It's been thousands of generations for you to get here. Probably a lot more, honestly. Let's be real. You think they all had roses? You think it was always great for them? No. But they still did what they did. They fucked. And they made your great-great-grandparents. And then, they did the same and they made blah, blah, blah. And then you're finally here and you're like, oh, it's not going to be completely perfect, so I'm just going to go extinct. Wow, that's pretty lame of you. Like your ancestors fought wars and stuff like that and like struggled through like starvation and shit like that. And now like your Funko Pops aren't coming on time and so you're not going to have kids because you might not be able to afford a place to live. I understand that. Look, it's going to be hard. Don't get me wrong, it's going to be hard, but you have to do it. It is your biological duty to do so. But what do I know? You do you.
Corporate monopolies. There was anxiety about the upcoming millennium, but even that anxiety was more a result of anticipation instead of despair. It was a moment suspended in potential. The world was analog enough to feel real, yet digital enough to feel new. Consumerism was rising, but hadn't yet blurred.
Onia says, I watched a video of a guy who turned a digital projector and a microscope into a microchip maker. And then Onia says, Italian vinaigrette. I'm sure those comments are related.
Into the meaning of life. The idea of a future still felt open-ended and vaguely utopian.
Was he an Italian guy named
symbolizes
Vinaigrette?
the last cultural
Sounds like a chick's name.
breath before this culture passed away. After this year, there was an undoubtable downward spiral.
Art and Share says, I think it's always been hard. It's a matter of how are we going to make it better for our kids without expecting anything in return. Well, yeah. You have to have them first. You have to have kids first. And a lot of millennials are infertile through totally not on purpose means. Gardasil. What? I'm not what? But yeah, you need to have them first. And most people aren't having kids. And so there's going to be a collapse of sort. And just hopefully we can hang on to the technology. Not like when Rome collapsed, there was a bunch of technology that was lost and there was the dark ages and shit. Hopefully our civilization can hang on to the technology well enough to like carry us through. Or whatever's going to happen. Honestly, we are on the downswing. It's going to be a rough couple of centuries probably. I'm not going to lie. And I'm not going to lie to my kids. I'm not going to be like, what do you want to do when you grow older? I'm going to, you know what I'm going to say to my kids? I'm going to like, dude, you need to survive. We need to start training now. Okay. Yeah. You want to be an astronaut? That's great. But keep it in the fucking head. All right. Because we're doing gun drills now.
Terrorism, war.
They're going to be coming after you. There's going to be a plague. There's going to be a zombie apocalypse. There's going to be a swarm of robots trying to gun you down. That's what you have to worry about first, all right? Don't worry about being an astronaut, okay? That shit ain't gonna, like, look, even in the perfect society, or if we were in the 90s or the 80s or whatever decade was best for it, it'd still be a long shot. But, like, we're not dealing with that now. We're not dealing with any of that now. We're dealing with robot swarms and fucking, like, zombies and shit, so... First things first.
Economic collapse, the rise.
Warlord training starts at 5 a.m. Exactly. Right? You get up and then you have to find your water. Right? I'm not providing you with water. Go look for it. Boil it if you have to. I would do that. I would do that. And then you're going to be sleeping outside for a couple months.
Of social media, the erosion of privacy, and political polarization. Something in civilization clearly shifted. Many people have spent the decades since reaching back, trying to remember what it felt like when things made sense. The death of the 1980s and 1990s idealism feels like a slow unraveling, one that began as the millennium turned and accelerated with the shocks of the early 2000s. The 1990s were a rare cultural moment, a mix of economic opportunities, technological novelty, and a relative global stability.
I would like to be an adult in the 90s. Being an adult in the 90s, well, that means you would be like a boomer, right? So that means your entire ride is basically paid for. So, like, yeah, of course I'd want to be an adult in the 90s.
Optimism was fragile,
That'd be fun.
resting on assumptions that the world was progressing.
And then who cares? In 2001, the fucking towers fall and shit like that. You already had a good time. You were probably set up. You got your IRA and 401k all fed and stuff like that. And yeah, there's going to be an economic downturn, right? But you probably have you have quite a bit of equity in your house. So you're still going to be okay. Some people lost their houses. I know that. A lot of people did.
Linearly toward.
But it's because strippers were doing ninja loans and buying like 4 houses. And it didn't matter because the bank was always going to make money on houses because they just kept going up. And then they're all like, it doesn't matter. If we can, we just foreclose. And then we own this asset that's just going up in value and shit like that. It was the bank's fault. It was all the bank's fault, right? You don't give fucking house money to strippers, especially 4 houses. Like, ninja loans are no income, no job, So, completely very risky loans, extremely subprime, I guess they would call it in the biz.
Toward more peace, prosperity, and possibility. When did this idealism die? Y2K was the first symbolic crack of the dying dream. As the year 2000 approached, people were scared. The fear that the clocks might stop and systems might fail reflected an underlying anxiety about our reliance on technology and whether that reliance was sustainable. It was a moment when the future, once imagined as bright and certain, suddenly seemed vulnerable and uncertain. The gleaming digital optimism of the 90s clashed with a mechanical flaw lurking beneath. The so-called Y2K bug threatened to bring global...
Very punchable. He's a very punchable face. I don't know what it is. He's just got a very punchable face. And he's a young guy and stuff.
Infrastructure to a halt. Nearly every system and process was suspected to be vulnerable. It was as though humanity had constructed a digital skyscraper, only to discover that it had been built on a cracked foundation.
On a correct foundation. I'm sorry. I'm not disagreeing with what he's saying. He's just a very douchey doucherson. He's very douche. He's the douche.
We feared for the code we had written. The code was our narrative. The code was our...
So like computers didn't understand clock technology or something? I mean, you know exactly what happened. I'd be surprised if you didn't know what happened, but I'll explain it to you all the same. So in 1999, the fear of Y2K was all clocks were based on the system where they only put the year, the last 2, 99, and so when it rolled over, it would think it had done that process 100 years prior, and so they thought that computers would not work. Obviously, it was fine. It was just I'm not saying it was made up, but it was overhyped that Y2K was actually going to be a problem in any real issue, right? It's a simple update, but yeah, it was a big nothing.
Prophecy. What made this moment so uniquely unsettling was the realization of how entangled our lives had become in these invisible systems. For years, we had celebrated the rise of the internet, the growth of global networks, the power of automation and instant communication. But the Y2K scare forced a collective reckoning. What if the Great Leap Forward introduced a kind of fragility? What if the systems we trusted to organize, measure, and protect our lives could fail?
Don't say you missed that paperclip. No, that paperclip is... I'm glad that paperclip's gone. That paperclip was never helpful.
Just from a simple lack of foresight. The anxiety...
Simple lack of foreskin. That was a problem. Our foreskins were what was holding society together, was our foreskins. And then they took them all from us, and then everything started to collapse. Coincidence? No, I don't think so. No, our foreskins are what made society great. And they're all like, we'll just take those from you before when you're born so you can't fight back. Because I'm not like Frozen. If I'm 13 years old and they're like, we're going to take your foreskin now, I'm going to be like, the fuck you are? The fuck you are? And I'm going to start grabbing blades and shit. I'm going to like, no, you're not taking my fucking foreskin.
Surrounding Y2K was existential. Beneath the surface-level panic of crashing planes and failing ATMs, prone to a deeper question. Had we advanced too quickly, building tools faster than we could understand their consequences? Had we become too dependent on these tools to function without?
Well, now we are. Now we are. If every computer on the planet failed tomorrow, that would be catastrophic. That would be like, I mean, every computer. I mean, a bunch of people would die immediately. Like, so many people would die instantaneously. And then the rest of us would just be wandering around being like, I have no idea where I am. I can't download maps or anything like that. So I'm just in a strange place. And like, you know, it's hot inside my house because I use a Nest and stuff. And then like, I can't call anybody. I don't know how to use a fucking walkie-talkie or anything. Yeah. It sucks. It sucks. There's nothing to do. Now. I think I'd be okay. I'd be all right. Where I live is like, I'll just go hang out at the beach. I'll go surfing. That's what I'll do. I'll just go fucking surfing. Just surf until it's cool again. Yeah, I'd be all right.
Of course, there was no Y2K bug disaster.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, you can goon to wall paintings or whatever like that. I mean, you might not want to be gooning out in just public like that. I think gooning would probably take a deep dive. There'd be a steep drop off in gooning, and then trans people wouldn't exist anymore. They would just not exist. They'd be like, I can't live without Reddit. I can't live without Reddit. What am I supposed to do? Go walk around and just be like this? No one's gonna be cool with that. No one's gonna be cool with that. So I guess this is it. That's it. That's it. That's it for them. No more trans folk. And then they're gone. They're going to have to dig out all their dead name stuff and be like, I guess I'm Pete again and not Patricia anymore. Right? Oh, but I still don't have my dick. Wonder if I can dig through the dumpster of that sex change facility. There's a bunch of dicks in there. No, sorry. No, we send those to the face cream people. Yeah, it's a big shipment that goes from the circumcising place to the Planned Parenthood to here, and then straight to the face cream place. Yeah, it's a lot of fetuses. There's a lot of fetuses, and they just get buried under all the dicks. So yeah, it's an ugly side of beauty, I guess.
It's New Year's Eve 1999. What the hell are you people doing watching this crap?
Countless hours of programming and preparation paid off, and the world efficiently stepped into a new millennium. But the lesson lingered.
Thought says, I feel sad. I let my baby daddy clip my kid. I didn't know. Yeah, there's this weird thing where it's like a lot of guys are like, I want him to look like me. I'm like, why? Why? That's why you want your kid to have a dick like your dick? You know, they cut your like bits of your dick off, right? Why, dude? Why? That's so fucking weird. Why would you want that for him? Like, so you're saying right now, if you weren't circumcised, then you would circumcise yourself because it's just like such a fashionable look? No, you wouldn't do that. I didn't do that to my kids. Then maybe they're going to ask one day. I'll be like, there was a terrible accident and daddy lost part of his dick. And then they're going to go around telling people that. And I'll be like, good thinking, John. Then I have a bunch of conversations.
Y2K was a reminder. We realized the future...
I'll be like, I'm not showing my kid my dick. It's just, it's just like, I'm not... Like, all right, son, you gotta stop fucking saying that, all right? It's just, not everyone's gonna, like, understand. I have a real heart-to-heart with him.
was something we had to build...
Jesus Christ.
Carefully, with caution and responsibility. So maybe the idealism does.
I think it was just normalized for so long that no one gave it much thought. Well, that's what you have to do. As a parent, you have to, okay, the things that are normal, why are they normal? This is something you have to put thought into. It's something that, because as a parent, you can't just Be like, oh yeah, society's got it right. Let's just go ahead and fucking go with that. Because society is kind of fucking stupid. It's made up of stupid fucking people. Everyone's fucking retarded. I swear to God. And so you got to really, really do a lot of research and like look through things. And like, honestly, it's a lot of soul searching too. And be like, is this truly right? And then you as a parent, that's your responsibility. It is. I'm not saying like, shame on you for doing it or anything like that, but it's, I mean, mistakes happen. You know, sometimes you don't think about things properly, and just parenting is hard. Parenting is a challenge, and it's an expensive challenge too. So for that reason, I understand why a lot of people aren't doing it. I'm not saying you should not reproduce. I think you should, but there's a lot of things going on, and like, I didn't truly get very angry about how society was and how it was put together until like my son was born, and I was like you try to put your home together in a way that he's going to be safe as possible, right? And like grow up and stuff like that. But then you extrapolate that to like your yard, and then like, oh, the places you go and stuff like that. And then society at large, like what's he going to do when he's older and shit like that. And then you fucking start thinking and then thinking and thinking. And then you're like, holy shit, this is a fucking mess. This is all a gigantic fucking mess. And then what are you supposed to do? Well, apart from being a vigilante, going out masked and like trying to clean up the streets on your own, you get loud about it. You say things. You say things in public. You get on a fucking soapbox and be like, are we doing this right? Is everybody doing this right? Should we just assume that we've all been doing this right all along? I don't think so. So you really have to put some thought into it. So anybody, put your thought into it. Thanks for coming. I hope you guys have a good night. Stay strong. Keep a good lookout. Have a good weekend, guys. Be my people. You know, be the cult members. Be my family. You are my family. Anyways, guys, have a good weekend. I'll see you on Monday. Drink a lot of water. Get a good night's sleep. And take care of yourselves and your kids, because I care about you too. I'll see you guys on Monday. Bye.
I'm an incredible soul, unhinged and enraged like a bulldog's fierce growl. I'm spitting fire, burning through these trees, questioning the world, unraveling conspiracies. Talking about Bigfoot, but Loch Ness Monster too. Government lies, they're feeding me their goo. I'm diving deep into this rabbit hole, uncovering the truth, setting fire to their control. I got small nipples, but my voice is loud, roaring like thunder in this crazy crowd. They say I'm crazy, but I call it woke, unraveling the madness with every word I spoke.